When Ada discovers Olivia's terrifying secret, her head detached and braided by unseen hands, her world is shattered, plunging her into a silent, suffocating fear. As Olivia effortlessly continues her charmed life, Ada is torn between the horror of what she knows and the impossibility of telling anyone. The suspense builds as both girls navigate their shared secret, leading to an emotionally charged showdown at the school's talent show. The tension between them is palpable, with each glance and whispered word fraught with unspoken dread. Will Ada keep the secret, or will the truth unravel everything? Hello guys! Welcome to the channel. Please take a moment and hit that subscribe button and help me grow, thank you. St. Immaculate International Girls Boarding High School was the pride of Imo State, Nigeria. The school stood tall, surrounded by lush green fields and gardens meticulously cared for. The buildings were modern, with large windows that let in the warm African sunlight, and classrooms equipped with the latest technology. Every corner of the school echoed with discipline and excellence. Students wore neatly pressed uniforms, and the air was filled with the scent of blooming flowers mixed with the freshness of morning dew. Among the girls, Olivia stood out like a bright star in a clear night sky. She was beautiful, with skin as smooth as silk and eyes that sparkled like diamonds. But what set her apart even more was her brilliance. She was always among the top 10 students, her name often mentioned during school assemblies for her outstanding academic performance. Teachers praised her, and her peers admired her from a distance. However, Olivia wasn't just known for her intelligence. She was also the most well-groomed girl in the entire school. Every Monday, she appeared with a new hairstyle that left everyone in awe. Her braids were always intricate, her curls perfectly formed, and her styles so unique that they looked like they were crafted by an expert. But there was something mysterious about Olivia's hair. No one had ever seen her at the school hairdresser like the other girls on Saturdays. She never mentioned where she got her hair done, and when anyone asked, she would simply smile and change the subject. This only added to the intrigue, and soon rumors began to swirl. Some girls whispered that she had a secret stylist who visited her in the dead of night, while others thought she was just naturally gifted with hair. But the truth was something no one could have imagined. Olivia's dormitory was a large, airy room with beds neatly arranged in rows. Each girl had her own space, and the room was always spotless. Olivia's bed was in the corner, away from the others, which suited her just fine. She wasn't the type to make friends easily, and her quiet nature meant she spent most of her time alone. This made it easy for her to keep her secret. Every weekend night, when the other girls were fast asleep, Olivia would silently slip out of her bed. She moved like a shadow, her steps light and careful as she made her way to the bathroom at the end of the hall. Once inside, she locked the door behind her, ensuring that no one could accidentally walk in. The bathroom was cold, the tiles icy under her bare feet, but she didn't mind. This was her routine, one she had perfected over the years. She stood in front of the sink, staring at her reflection in the mirror. Her long, thick hair cascaded down her back, untouched and unbraided. She took a deep breath, then slowly, she reached up and began to detach her head from her body. It was a strange and eerie sight. Her head, still alive and conscious, resting on the sink, while her headless body sat on the cold floor, leaning against the wall. And then, as if from nowhere, bodiless hands appeared. They moved swiftly and skillfully, weaving her hair into beautiful, intricate patterns. Olivia's eyes were closed, but she could feel the hands working, feel the braids taking shape. It took exactly 45 minutes, and when they were done, the hands disappeared as quietly as they had come. Olivia whispered the words she had been taught, and her head reattached itself to her body. She blinked, taking a moment to adjust, then stood up, feeling whole again. She glanced at her reflection one last time, admiring the work, before sneaking back to bed. No one knew her secret, and she intended to keep it that way. But everything changed on the night before the talent show. The school had announced that every student had to look their best for the event, and that included having a fresh, neat hairstyle. Olivia, as always, planned to do her hair the night before. But what she didn't know was that her bed neighbor Ada had grown suspicious. Ada was a curious girl, always asking questions and paying attention to the smallest details. She had noticed that Olivia's hair was always done by Monday morning, but she never saw her go to the hairdresser. So she decided to find out the truth for herself. That night, Ada pretended to be asleep. She waited, her heart pounding, until she heard Olivia quietly leave the room. Slowly, carefully, Ada got out of bed and followed her. She kept a safe distance, making sure not to make any noise. When she reached the bathroom, she stood outside the door listening. At first, she heard nothing but the faint sound of water dripping from a tap. But then she heard something else, a whisper followed by a strange, almost magical sound. Ada couldn't resist. She pushed the door open just a crack, peeking inside. What she saw made her freeze in place, her breath catching in her throat. There on the bathroom floor was Olivia's headless body, seated with its back against the wall. On the sink, Olivia's head rested, her eyes closed, while invisible hands worked on her hair. The sight was so shocking, so terrifying that Ada couldn't move. She wanted to scream, to run, but her legs wouldn't obey her. All she could do was stand there, watching in horror as the hands finished braiding Olivia's hair. Finally, the ritual was over. Olivia whispered the words, and her head reattached itself to her body. She opened her eyes and saw Ada standing there, frozen with fear. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Olivia walked over to Ada, her expression calm but serious. "You can't tell anyone," Olivia said quietly. "No one would believe you." Ada wanted to protest, to run and tell the teachers, but deep down she knew Olivia was right. Who would believe such a story? She nodded slowly, tears of fear and confusion welling up in her eyes. The next day, Olivia was as radiant as ever, her hair beautifully styled for the talent show. Ada, on the other hand, couldn't shake the image of what she had seen. But she didn't say a word. The two girls shared a secret, one that would remain buried deep within them, never to be spoken of again. They both carried the weight of that night in their hearts, knowing that the truth was something they could never share with anyone else. The talent show was the highlight of the year at St. Immaculate International Girls Boarding High School. The courtyard buzzed with excitement as students gathered, their faces glowing with anticipation. Brightly colored banners fluttered in the gentle breeze, and the sound of laughter filled the air. The stage was set, and the girls, all dressed in their best uniforms, prepared to showcase their talents. Olivia stood apart from the crowd, her presence commanding attention without her even trying. Her new hairstyle was a work of art, intricate braids that wound around her head like a crown, glistening under the sunlight. She walked with her usual grace, her uniform pristine as always, the white shirt crisp and the green skirt perfectly pressed. Her black shoes shone, and her white socks were pulled up neatly to her knees. Every step she took was deliberate, every move calculated to maintain her image of perfection. But as she moved through the courtyard, she could feel Ada's eyes on her. Olivia didn't need to turn around to know that Ada was watching her. She could sense the fear and confusion emanating from the girl, could almost hear the frantic beating of her heart. Olivia kept her face calm, her expression serene, but inside, she was acutely aware of the delicate balance she had to maintain. Ada, on the other hand, was struggling to keep herself together. She had barely slept the night before, her mind replaying the horrifying scene she had witnessed. Every time she closed her eyes, She saw Olivia's headless body and the ghostly hands braiding her hair. It was as if the image was burned into her memory, haunting her every thought. Now, as she watched Olivia walk with such poise and confidence, Ada felt a wave of nausea wash over her. She wanted to scream, to run away, but she knew she couldn't. Olivia had been right. No one would believe her if she told them what she had seen. The fear of being dismissed, of being labeled crazy, kept her silent. But the weight of the secret was heavy, pressing down on her chest like a stone. As the talent show began, Olivia took her place among the other performers, her face a mask of calm. The crowd cheered as each girl showcased her talent, the energy in the courtyard growing with each performance. But Ada couldn't focus on any of it. Her eyes kept drifting back to Olivia, who seemed completely at ease, as if nothing unusual had happened. When it was Olivia's turn to perform, the crowd fell silent in anticipation. She stepped onto the stage, her posture perfect, and began to sing. Her voice was clear and melodic, filling the courtyard with a hauntingly beautiful sound. As she sang, the sun caught her braids, making them sparkle like a crown of jewels. The audience was mesmerized, lost in the magic of her performance. But Ada could see beyond the beauty, beyond the flawless exterior. She knew the truth, knew the darkness that lurked beneath Olivia's perfect surface. And as she watched her sing, a cold dread settled in the pit of her stomach. This was not something she could ever unsee, something she could ever forget. Olivia's secret was now her burden, and it was one she would carry alone. As the final note of Olivia's song echoed through the courtyard, the crowd erupted in applause. Olivia smiled, bowing gracefully, her eyes sweeping over the audience. For a brief moment, her gaze met Ada's, and in that instant, Ada felt a chill run down her spine. There was something in Olivia's eyes, something that told Ada she would never be free of this secret. The talent show ended with Olivia being showered with praise, as usual. The other girls surrounded her, complimenting her on her performance, admiring her hair, and asking her the same questions they always did. But Olivia was careful, her answers vague and polite, always steering the conversation away from anything too personal. Ada watched from a distance, her heart heavy. She knew she could never tell anyone what she had seen. No one would believe her, and even if they did, what would they do? This was a secret that had to be kept, for both their sakes. As the evening wore on and the girls returned to their dormitories, Ada found herself lying in bed, staring at the ceiling. Sleep wouldn't come, and the memory of that night replayed over and over in her mind. She glanced over at Olivia's bed, where the girl lay peacefully, as if she didn't have a care in the world. The night was quiet, the dormitory filled with the soft sounds of breathing. But in the darkness, Ada felt the weight of the secret pressing down on her, suffocating her. She closed her eyes, hoping for sleep, but knowing that this was just the beginning of a burden she would carry for the rest of her life. Olivia, meanwhile, slept soundly, secure in the knowledge that her secret was safe. For now, at least. Thank you so much, guys, for watching to this point. I don't take it for granted. If you enjoyed this video, there is more to come. Kindly subscribe, like, comment and share to your family and friends. See you next time. Bye.